Today we're diving deep into a brilliant positional masterpiece played by none other than Magnus Carlsen against Alireza Firouzja at the Esports World Cup 2025. Carlsen opens with the king's pawn, and Firouzja replies with the Sicilian defense looking for an imbalanced fight right out of the gate. Magnus opts for the Alapin variation, aiming to control the center with pawns rather than sharp piece play. Firouzja develops naturally with knight to f6, pressuring e4. Carlsen immediately kicks the knight, a very direct and aggressive response. The knight retreats to d5, a safe square, slightly offside. White develops and prepares kingside castling. Firouzja goes for b6, likely planning a fianchetto with bishop to b7 to challenge the center. Magnus expands in the center. Firouzja captures, hoping to relieve some central tension. Carlsen recaptures with a knight, maintaining a strong presence. Black follows up with bishop to b7, bishop to b7 to support the knight on d5. Carlsen gains space with c4, threatening the knight on d5. Firouzja jumps in with knight to b4, pressuring d3. Knight defends, and black fianchettos the other bishop. This setup can feel cramped if not timed right. Magnus kicks the knight, and it retreats to c6. Carlsen develops naturally, bishop to f4. Firouzja completes his kingside development with bishop to g7. White consolidates, knight to f3, but Firouzja plays knight to a6, looking to develop his other knight. Magnus signals he wants to expand on the kingside and possibly start a pawn storm. Firouzja tries to shut it down immediately with h5, but now he's committed. Magnus shifts to the queen side, dual pressure now. Firouzja repositions his knight to c7, possibly heading to e6. Magnus moves the bishop to d3, eyes the kingside. Firouzja brings the knight into e6, threatening the bishop on f4. Carlsen retreats the bishop, keeping it on the board for future kingside pressure. Firouzja finally challenges the center with d6. Magnus opens the queen's path and threatens the knight on c6. Black castles, finally, some safety. Both sides are castled. Firouzja prepares queenside activity with rook to b8, perhaps pushing b5 later. Carlsen activates the rook, staring down the e-file. Firouzja captures the pawn on e5, opening lines. Carlsen immediately trades off bishop for knight. Firouzja recaptures, but now his light squares are vulnerable, and his knight pair is gone. Knight jumps into the center. Carlsen plays strong and well supported. Firouzja develops rook to c8, but he's behind in coordination. Rook to c1, bringing the rooks into play. Black plays knight to d4, centralizing, but it's risky too early to commit. White challenges the center directly. Firouzja exchanges pieces to relieve pressure. Queen recaptures, centralizing strongly. Firouzja plays bishop to b7, eyeing the long diagonal. Magnus repositions his queen, threatening tactics. Firouzja tries to shut down the center with e6, but it's too late. Magnus threatens the queen with the rook. Firouzja brings the queen to f6. Knight jumps to d7, and Firouzja gets forward. Firouzja tries to counter with queen b2, going after the queenside pawns. Of course, Magnus captures the rook on f8, a favorable trade for him. Magnus pushes the pawn to c5. Firouzja captures, but opens the board even more. Another pawn push. B-pawn takes pawn on c5, completely clearing the queen side. Firouzja places the bishop on c6, trying to hold on. Magnus tries to chase the queen away. Firouzja counters with queen c2. Bishop comes in, pressure on black's position. Firouzja plays f6, trying to kick it away. Carlsen calmly retreats. This bishop dominates diagonals. Firouzja prepares to defend with rook e8. Carlsen keeps chasing the annoying queen. Firouzja repositions the queen to f5. Carlsen says let's trade. Firouzja pushes e5, trying to block the queen. Queen's off the board. Now it's a clean technical endgame. Firouzja recaptures with pawn, but now has weak double pawns. Rook returns to pressure the b-file. Black activates the king, but it's too late. Carlsen infiltrates. Firouzja tries to defend. Carlsen eyes the c-file with rook to c8. Firouzja throws in bishop to e4, hoping for some counterplay. And that's it. Magnus pushes c6. The pawn is unstoppable, it's guarded, it's strong. Firouzja resigns. Because if the game had gone on, Firouzja would have lost material. With this brilliant victory, Magnus Carlsen secures first place in the 2025 Sports World Cup, proving once again why he's one of the greatest minds the chess world has ever seen. Subscribe if you like this video. See you on the next board.